This is Favors Financial Topics, various topics. Mate value is determined by one's perception of his or her own attractiveness relative to others and access to high value mates. So, you have a lot of people going around with their YouTube channels talking about the mate value of women and how that mate value is perceived on a global level, and that this person, there's a certain type of person who can get this type of guy, or there's a certain type of guy who can get this type of person. And that mate value based upon their own attractiveness it can't just be based upon you thinking you are cute. It also has to be based upon your ability to access high value mates. There are some women who only date at a higher level. They only date rich men. They're not going to date anybody else. And so that means that they are allocating every bit of their financial resources, personal finances, to make themselves high value in order to access high value mates. So I was thinking about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle was already a pretty girl, and when she was on Suits, she was kind of, defining. But when you look at her from Suits and you look at her now, you can tell that she upgraded herself, that she worked on herself. She didn't have weight issues, she didn't have beauty issues, but you can tell that there is a difference between what she looked like back then and what she looked like now. And how in order for her to attract a higher value mate, she had to work on herself to even gain access to a higher value mate in Prince Harry. And he is a higher value mate. And so she couldn't just alone look at her pretty self in the mirror and say, I can get anybody. No, she had to do whatever she needed to do. And she's never told us what she's done, but I do know she did Pilates and yoga, and she calls herself a foodie, and so exercising and things like that. And then she increased her time with Suits until she ended up having to leave. But that took some money to do that. I don't know if she's had plastic surgery or anything like that. I can't say that, but working on herself and improving herself and looking at the difference between when she was on Suits and other types of shows previous to Suits, and now she did some work on herself. So that made her not only attractive in her own perception, in her own self-perception, but that also gave her access to high value mates. And she sort of created a high value mate in herself. When she married Prince Harry, she had $5 million in the bank. That makes a difference. He may have many more millions himself as a result of his inheritance from his family, his mother, but that did make a big difference between him marrying just an ordinary person, because those people at that level, they tend to marry higher value. And so he didn't necessarily have to allocate a lot of personal finances to attract Meghan, right? He just stood in his royalness, or his attractiveness, and the social perception of his attractiveness as a royal individual was enough for him. The woman in this regard, even Kate Middleton, had to do some work in order to get Prince William, right? So assessment of attractiveness is based upon a global measure of attractiveness as a potential mate. And then we have an example: blondes are more preferred to brunettes, light-skinned blacks are more preferred to darker-skinned blacks. And so if we just take the blonde, for example, the white women, or Mexican white women, or Chinese white women, or whoever they often, when they are in their own respective countries, they tend to wear their traditional hair color. But when they come to America, they allocate every bit of personal finances to assimilate into the global measure of attractiveness. And the global measure of attractiveness is blonde hair, blue eyes, fair skin, right? And so skin bleaching is common in more than just countries where there are black people or darker skinned people overall. That you have Asians who skin bleach, you have white women who skin bleach. And so they want to fit into this sort of narrative about global measure of attractiveness. Well, that takes a lot of money. They go and get plastic surgeries, they go and get butt lifts, they go and get all different types of things to change their body structure, to change their jawline. They go to the dentist. They get that hair bleached as much as they can. And we understand that blondes are more preferred than brunettes, and even brunettes tend to go and get their hair bleached. But you also see that in the black community, African American community, and African people on the African continent, they will also bleach their skin. Light-skinned blacks usually are more preferred to darker skinned blacks in both black and white. I mean, both male and female. But the new trend is becoming biracial, and you can have the look of a white person, but we all still know that you are black. So people do their best to try to get their hair straightened as much and as hard as they can. And again, all of that takes a lot of finances. And people don't really understand just how much, if they really sat down with a notebook, pen and pad, and really looked at how much they allocate their finances to trying to fit within this global measure of attractiveness, and you do so at a risk. There is no guarantee that even if you have access to that high value mate, that you can keep them. Because I've always heard someone say that a man is only as faithful as his options, and he's only as faithful also as his opportunities. And if he has an opportunity to cheat, then he's going to take that opportunity to cheat. And so giving all your money to getting manicure, pedicure, Botox, Brazilian butt lifts, liposuction, hair bleached, face bleached, all of that costs a lot of money just to make yourself attractive and hopefully increase your mate value. Factors of mate value, so there are 6: agreeableness, commitment, resource potential, physical prowess, emotional stability, surgency, physical attractiveness. Infidelity intentions are influenced by partner's mate value, one owns mate value, and moderated by participant sex and infidelity type. So of course, your factors of mate value, agreeableness, it does matter how agreeable you are and how committed you are in a relationship. Resource potential, as much as women would like to believe that they are feminists and that they don't marry men for money, they don't want to marry a broke man either. In some cases, certain women will, I know black women will also will do this, marry a man for potential, get with him for potential, because we have this fix them up mentality, we have this loyalty mentality, but that is changing, and that many more women are tired of taking care of broke men. And I think this is women in every race, economic level, but it's definitely poignant for black women. Resource potential, physical prowess does make a big difference. People do pride themselves on having a tall man, or having a muscular man, or having a man who can do what needs to be done in the bedroom, right? Emotional stability is a big factor. I noticed that men oftentimes say that they just want peace. They don't want a whole lot of chaos. It's funny though, they often create the chaos, but that's just besides the point. But emotional stability, sometimes women look to these relationships as a way to solve some area of their life. Surgency always refers to economic and financial status. So it does matter that a royal either marries a royal or marries someone at that higher level. So with Kate Middleton, her family ended up, I think they're worth 200 million or something like that, probably a little bit more. But it did make a big difference that they were able to send her to the type of college, university that Prince William would attend. They had that kind of money. They're still sort of like not working class, but entrepreneurial type people. They have their own business, right? They are not inherently royal, but it did make a big difference. Prince Harry had two options. People who at least one of those people came from some kind of royal background, but that person or those two people were not just really ready for marriage. Maybe, I don't know, but it did matter that that your mate value can increase based upon your social, economic, financial status. And then physical attractiveness, for people it really matters. I don't really call people ugly, but people will do all that they can to make themselves look physically attractive. And I think all of us should consider that we all need to not look like slobs, right? But I don't think we all need to go up under the knife to make that happen. All right, hopefully you were able to gain some insight from this series topic. Like, subscribe, and visit. Like the video, hit the notification bell for future videos. You can visit my website, which is still in development, reginayfavors.com. You can always email me with a question, reginayfavors@yahoo.com. You will be able to purchase the book by the end of October 2021. I'm hoping that I will have it completed. Completely revised rather. It is already written and done. I just have to edit it. It is Overcoming Setback, 5 Keys for Entering and Exiting Correction. Thank you for visiting the channel. Coming soon is my new book that I am working on presently and hope to complete by the end of the year, December 2021, preferably February 2022, and that is Favors, Financial Recovery, Psychological Approaches to Overcoming Financial Setback with some workbook elements. So it is it will be the book that will support the audio series, although I have developed the audio series prior to actually writing the book. So be on the lookout for this new book. When it comes out, when I finish, I will create an audio introduction to the book. Thank you again for visiting the channel.